Hi guys and welcome to my channel. My name is Tina and my aim is to improve your drawings just like others have done for me when I just started out. So last week I showed you how to create white fur with pastel, and I promise this week I'm working on a piece to demonstrate this. If you haven't seen that one yet, I'll pop up a link so you guys can go out and check that out first. For my subject this week I chose a white wolf. They seem really popular and for good reason. The picture I chose for this one is available on Pixabay for free and is a really good one to work from, very beautiful and detailed. And this one is superb for showing you how to draw white fur. So starting on this piece now, as always block in some color first. As I like to work from left to right, top to bottom, I started out with the left ear. For the lighter areas I use a beige and a grey. They are ideal for underlayers if you are doing white fur, and the darker area is a mix of black and brown. Then blend this out. For the fur on the left side I like to use this triangle shaped sponge because it helps you to create the fur shaped already. For the inside I switched to another one. Be sure when you're blending to either clean your sponge out or use another one. You don't want that black to smudge into the white too much. I first go in with a reddish color to build my layers a little bit more, and then I go in with my black pencil. The ear itself was quite dark, so lots of black hairs here. Same as in my previous tutorials, I didn't include how I made the background. Be sure to comment below if that's something you guys would like to see in future videos. I built a second layer of hair inside the ear in a dark grey, and then added the highlights with a lighter tone. You can use pastel to your advantage and work from dark to light here. Moving on to the white part, I first add a base layer of light grey. Depending on whether your area is a more cool or warm tone, you can either go for a bluish grey tone or a beige tone. Then on top of that I add the white strokes. Looking at my reference picture to keep an eye out for anything I might be missing. For instance, here I missed some grey and red, and I even went back in with some white and black for a bit more contrast. And that's it for the ear, you guys. Moving on to the body, this was super easy. Just two colors needed for the base here. For the left side I used white soft pastel as a base. I don't do this often, but here you really want to make sure the white pops in comparison to the surrounding fur. So it's a good trick to make it pop. I added in the rest of the colors there. It's a mix of ivory, light and dark grey, and even some browns. Don't forget that even when adding your underlayer, it helps to build the shape of the fur by following the direction of the fur already. Then blend it out, and remember to clean or switch your sponge when you are switching from the dark to the light area here. If you are using your finger, same option. Either clean your finger or switch to another one. Where I added the white soft pastel, I first put down some strokes with a light grey, and then I added white strokes on top. Two reasons here, guys. First one is using two colors builds more depth, and second one, since we used white as an underlayer, we need something on top to make sure the white strokes show through. I then went in with reddish brown and dark grey. I even added some black on top of the dark grey just because it was a really dark area there. Then with ivory and light grey we made the illusion of white fur here. Since these hairs are on top of a darker area, we want to use a light grey instead of white because it's a little bit more muted. Add the darker hair in again to help define the strands of white fur. And as always, you know how I love to blend things out just to get that softer look, so blend, blend, blend. Blocking in some parts of this piece, I use a dark grey, light grey, beige and white for this. Be sure to look closely at your reference picture to see where you need which color. And don't be afraid to go really dark and light. This is what helps you achieve that really realistic look. And blend this out. Also for this one I kinda jumped around a bit, doing smaller sections before moving on. For two reasons. The first and the most important one being that the color of this wolf is so different, so it's not like you could do the entire underlayer with the same color. And the second one is that when you work a long time on the same piece, sometimes it can become a bit tedious, so it helps to switch it up. If your piece uses most of the same colors, it might work faster to do that in one go. And especially if you're just starting out, you'll make it easier on yourself by doing this, since you don't have to remember how you started out on your previous section when starting out on the next one. Then to build the fur, I first used some light grey. Where the fur is a little bit darker, I used a dark grey and even saw some blue and added some. Don't overdo this though, you don't want the blue to jump out at you, just a hint will go a long way. And then I went on top with my white pencil. After this I'm going back in with lighter and darker colors. I either do this because I found that I soften it too much, but mostly it is because when you add these they help you define the lumps of hair some more. Also keep in mind that by building so many layers you are creating so much more depth to your artwork. Then for the next part we are just going to repeat what we've done already, with the exception that I'm using black here for the first strokes because it was so dark there. Just be careful not to apply too much pressure. Then going in with the mix of the greys again and white on top. Finish this off by adding some darker and lighter tones for definition, and the white part on top of the wolf is exactly the same as on the left side. On a side note, I love creating art, but maybe I love teaching even more. So not only is it tremendously helpful when you subscribe to my channel, it is also really valuable when you give me that thumbs up or comment down below. The engagement I get from you guys lets YouTube know that my videos are valuable to the people watching. At least I hope I'm doing a good job with my tutorials. And because of this, YouTube helps my video reach even more people like yourself who can then hopefully also grow as an artist. Either way, I'm loving the support I'm getting from you already. Next up, right ear and the right side of the wolf. We block our colors in first. For the ears I'm using beige, ivory and a darker grey. For the head I'm going to use a light, mid and a darker grey, some beige and also some white. Go ahead and blend this out. For the ears we start with a light grey covering almost the entire ear. Then switch it up to a darker grey for the inside. I soften the whole thing up and go over it with my white pencil and just a hint of blue on top. Change your pencil for the hairs inside the ear. Light grey instead of the white pencil because the white is just too bright here. Finish this by adding some definition with a dark grey. Then back to the white pencil, which I'll use to cover the entire light grey area. As well as putting in some hairs here and there in the middle. I said pastel is a fast medium, that doesn't mean it's not a lot of work to get it right. I played around with a few shades of grey here, just look at a reference picture to get a feel for which colors you need in there. Especially around the eyebrow, I switched a lot between the different shades of grey and the white, so I could build that 3D look it needs there. Starting on the eye now, I first used black to contour the eye and then filled it up with a red-brown color. This is a rather small piece, so on the eye it's hard to get much detail in, but if you look closely at the eye, you can see it has some black grain in it. And the blending stump gives you so much more control that you can blend a little bit of the black into the eye. If you don't have this tool, you can use a cotton tip instead. I then layer two brighter colors on and add the black stripes inside. In between these stripes I add yellow stripes and together they make the perfect iris, if I say so myself. We can then add the black pupil and finish the eye off with some white highlights. We then add more black surrounding the eye. Don't be afraid to go too black here. Afterwards we are going to go over this to give it more depth. We are going over some of the other areas there as well. We use some dark grey, white and a black to adjust some of the values there. The right eye is basically the same as the left one, only a whole lot smaller. We started out with the outlines in black and filled it up with a red-brown color and used white for the highlights. Obviously this is a sped up version, but you should still get the general idea. We still need to add some depth to the under eyelid. For this I'm using a mix of greys and blues and even a hint of purple in the left one. I also darkened the right eye up a little bit. Next part is the muzzle, again blocking colors here, using most of the colors you've seen already, just no white underlayer here. Blocking in the shape of the mouth with my black soft pastel. Blend it out and be careful around the black, you don't want to smudge this too much. I go in first with a beige color, cause it's a softer look than using grey. Use it everywhere except on the lighter grey underlayer. Then I add my white strokes, you can see where I put them on top of the other. The fur has a warm feel to it. Now it's very important to follow the direction of the fur here. Also make sure that you are not always using the same size to your strokes. These two things help build that muzzle up and give that depth and 3D look. Then it's back to switching your colors up. Look at your reference picture and decide where it needs to be lighter or darker. For the mouth, I add strokes starting from the lips but blending them there to make it softer. You can add a few layers here as it also builds up the chin this way. Then I add the vibrisal follicles. I thought I'd be fancy, I just mean the dot-shaped spots or little holes where the whiskers start from. Use a dark grey for this and form these dots by drawing small lines. I then did some further refinement on the drawing. Looking back at this footage, I see I go over areas very often, but sometimes by adding more colors to your drawing, you see even more clearly where you need to darken it up, or lighten it up for that matter. It really is by using more contrast that you will achieve a better result. For the chest, which is entire in the shadow of the muzzle, I'm actually using black as my underlayer. And then for the rest of the wolf, it becomes increasingly lighter, starting with the dark grey on the right and a lighter grey on top of that. And ending with some beige for the cheek of the wolf, where it's also warmer. Underneath the chin, I'm using a warm dark grey. Be sure they follow the curve of the hairs here. And as you can see, because I changed the darkness of the underlayer, we already have a smooth transition of the shadow in place. Under the chin, I then add light grey following the same direction. I blend it out for a softer feel. I then put in some ivory for a warmer feel and putting white strokes on some of the strands there already. By layering our darkest color first, it's easier to build up white fur in shade. Now mind you, this area was particularly dark. Most of the time you will be better off using dark grey. Then again, adding in more of those dark and light colors like we've been doing the whole time. On pastel mat you can play quite a bit with your colors before you can't take any more layers. Underneath the chin I put a yellowy color for more highlights and brighten it up on the right side. I even used some light blue. For the mouth I did add a black stroke for more definition and also some more black in general. Moving on to the nose, the final part. I first defined the shape of the nose with my black from Cretacolor, which I swear is the blackest black I've ever used, so I feel that when I use another black there, and also with a much lighter pressure, I get an even bigger difference in color already. On top of the nose, I add a black, blue and a light blue and blend all that together. And as a result, I get a really good looking nose already. I use my black to define it again. Then on top I'm going to add different colors of dots. I blend them out, add some color, put back dots again. I repeat this process till I feel the nose has achieved a realistic look. Make sure you keep going lighter with your blues and mix it up with some greys and black to find that perfect contrast. You can end with white for your highlights, just tap your finger on it to blend it out a little. I then go over the entire piece one more time, looking for where I need to add just a little bit more color. The more of your drawing is finished, the easier it gets to see if you need to adjust some values. And then finally we can put in the whiskers. I'm using black here, but make sure to use a light hand. This is quite a hard piece to start off with because of the different shades of white. That's why I thought it was ideal for you guys to show it. If you are just starting out, however, and you've hardly done white fur or even never, be sure to watch this video and my smaller one on white fur. And then, when you want to begin, choose something that is a little bit easier to start off with. And that's it for today's tutorial. I hope you guys found this one helpful. If it did, remember to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see all of my upcoming videos. Hit that bell icon if you want to be notified every time I upload a video. I hope you found this helpful, you guys, and see you in next week's tutorial. Have a great week!